Hey, Lucy's Record Shop listeners. Thanks for checking out today's episode of the Lucy's Record Shop podcast. I'm Mary Mancini, the person who ran the record store and all-ages punk club back in the day. And this podcast is where you can hear stories from the people who hung out and played in bands at Lucy's. You can follow the show on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Lucy's Record Shop. And you can also email me directly at mary@lucysrecordshop.com with your thoughts and your feedback. If you have a minute, please take the time to share the show with a friend and drop us a rating or a review. Much appreciated. So, big announcement. This year is the 30th anniversary of when Lucy's opened. And if you haven't heard already, we're going to celebrate in September with a couple of events. One is a live music show at Dark Matter. And the second one is a screening of the documentary Lucy Barks at the Belcourt Theater. The screening will be on Monday, September 12th as part of the Belcourt's Music City Mondays series, and tickets are available at belcourt.org. I'll be recording a live podcast that night as well with the director, Stacey Goldate, who was just a college student when she made the film in 1996. Then on Sunday, September 18th at Dark Matter, there'll be an all-day music festival with a mixture of reunited bands and some new bands whose members played Lucy's in other bands. And there will be surprises, definitely surprises. So go to lucysrecordshop.com/anniversary for more info and to get your tickets. We're also working on setting up a live stream of the event for those who can't make it to the show. And we'll also have a way that you can record your favorite Lucy story for a future episode of this podcast. One of the current performers who will make an appearance at Dark Matter on the 18th is 17-year-old Dru the Drifter, all-around punk rock guy who is from Nashville, but is finding his home in the punk scene in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is about 30 minutes outside of Nashville. Dru writes and performs, he books shows, he releases records. And so in this episode, we talk about what it's like for him to do all that now. And listening to him will give you a real sense of, first of all, what kind of an artist he is, but also what's up in the punk rock community nowadays, and what has and what hasn't changed in the last 30 years. Thank you, Dru, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I've never done something this professional. So.
Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, we're going to break you in.
Definitely.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Dru. I release music under Dru the Drifter. I book a lot of shows in Murfreesboro and Nashville. I'm just all around punk rock guy.
And where are you from originally?
I'm from Nashville, but I don't know. I found my home in Murfreesboro.
So when you say you find your home, what do you mean?
Just I've got more of a connection with people there in Murfreesboro than Nashville. I met this kid named Joey there, and he booked shows too, and he just welcomed me with open arms, and then I just been booking there ever since.
When did you pick up a guitar for the first time?
I think I started playing in 4th or 5th grade. So the backstory is I used to play a lot of video games, and there was a commercial for a new Call of Duty, and the game was the song in it was Painted Black by the Rolling Stones, and I just got hooked on the Stones after that. And then from the Stones I found Queen, and then I somehow found Green Day after that, and then I got the Ramones, and then here I am now.
And then you went from being a listener,
yeah,
to actually wanting to play.
Yeah, I just heard it, and I was like, I could do that.
Wow. And who gave you your first guitar? Did you buy it yourself? Or
my dad got it for me. It was like a Christmas present. It was just like, I don't know, it's probably like 3 feet wide. It's small, but it works. It definitely works.
And did you teach yourself?
I took guitar lessons for like 2 years, but kind of stopped doing that. I could teach myself. I can't read music, but I don't get any enjoyment out of reading music. I can hear a song and I can pick it up pretty well.
And then when did you start writing songs?
I wrote my first song in 6th grade because I've had a lot of friends that are like, okay, we're going to start a band, but like it never happened. and there was this one song I wrote about, like, I think cigarette companies. It was called Smokehouse. And it's awful, but it was the first song I wrote, and I have so many songs I've written. I found myself, I can write really good melodies really quickly, and I can write a bunch of songs really quickly. Songwriting, I would say, is like my number one thing. Everything's kind of a hook with songs. Sometimes I want to write these really deep songs. I used to study, like, what makes a good songwriter, because I'd look that up, and I couldn't find an exact answer, but I sat down and I kind of figured some sort of stuff out.
So what do you think it means now?
So I feel like it's unfair to categorize one person as a good songwriter, because there's different songs. That's like, there's different songwriting, you know? There's different approaches to songwriting. You look at, I think Bob Dylan can write a good folk song. I don't think he could write a very good pop song, but I think John Lennon could write a pretty good pop song and a pretty good folk song. It's just how you approach songwriting, I guess, which sometimes I sit down and I write a song, I'm like, this shit's going to be really deep. This is going to be something. But sometimes just like, I want to write this really melodical kind of song that's kind of stupid. You know, I like the playfulness, and I feel like minimalism's really important. I like when lyrics are kind of like raunchy, but like catchy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Sure.
The Ramones did that shit a lot. Beat on the Brat especially is like a good influence, or Now I Want to Sniff Some Glue. I like writing these songs with these strong meanings. I also like writing these very personal songs. I write very like odd song titles songs, but like if you know who it's about, you know who it's about, you know.
Give me an example.
Dude. I don't know if I can.
I don't like you.
I don't like you.
That was one, right? It has to be about somebody specific.
There's one that's like Ode to the Trash Can Outside CVS. Artemis is no god to me. My thing with songwriting is like, it doesn't have to be interesting enough. It just like, you can write a song about anything. Like, I know on my new album, I have a song about my ingrown toenail. My biggest song's called the shampoo song. I wrote it in the shower. I mean,
when you were washing your hair?
Yeah, definitely. But like, I mean, I think music's just kind of fun. Like, you don't have to think that deep about it sometimes. It's just putting stuff out there. And I feel like the way I write songs is very minimal. And like, I feel like that does a lot more than this really big thing with songwriting. Like, if you look at Perfect Day by Lou Reed, that song is like regarded as one of the best songs of all time, but I think there's not like over 140 different words in that song. Mm-hmm. It's like minimalism's very important in songwriting, and it's what grabs people. It's definitely important not to talk too much in songs,
unless that's what comes to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I know what you mean, but it's kind of harder to write melodies, I've noticed, with these like big sought out stories. Mm-hmm. Unless it's this like concept-y thing. Like, the only thing I've seen with big words be interesting is like black metal. Black metal does this like, I don't know, they will talk about God knows what, and it's just like this big adjectively it's so interesting.
You're very prolific.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was one of the things that Michael Eads on his podcast, We Own This Town, pointed out. I guess you contacted him and you told him something that you were trying to put out a record, or 30 records 100 records?
Yeah.
You say, because you know.
100 records by like my late 20s. So my idea right now is I'm releasing an album a month right now. And if I carry on doing that till I'm 27, I'll have a little more than 100 out. And I got inspired by this guy named R. Stevie Moore. He's like 70, he has 400, and I saw him and I was like, if I do this by his age, I'll have 700 out. But he's inspired me a lot, just the way he writes, the way he gets his stuff out. It's very DIY. And he said something that's like, I keep on releasing and I don't improve the quality, but I improve the quantity, which what he's releasing, like songs he's releasing, because he has roughly 400 out, which I looked into that number. I don't know if you can count live albums.
Oh, is he counting live albums?
Yeah, I mean,
sure, why not?
Yeah, why not? That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just hearing that and realizing I don't need like all this fancy stuff. I record everything on an iPad. I use BandLab, which is like this free software DAW thing. I started using GarageBand, but I couldn't figure it out. I'm trying to figure it out. It's just, I don't know. Shit, there's a lot.
There's a ton.
Yeah.
And each one of your releases is the something.
Yeah.
And you're going to continue that. What's that about?
So I had this idea to name each one. So the name's Dru the Drifter, so I wanted it to be like, the first one's Dru the Drifter, then I wanted to do Dru the Pisser, then Dru the... But I just kind of cut off the Dru and started doing the blank. Like, the next album I'm releasing is called The Wiener. And I'm excited for that one, but I don't know how it came to me.
Because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 so far, so you're doing it.
Yeah.
And the latest one is The Summer.
Yeah, The Summer. I've found myself going for some sort of a power pop sound. It's been coming to me. It's just been the thing that's been coming to me. Very like Cars-esque stuff coming to me. That's what I've been writing recently. And I feel like I kind of go in cycles, you know. I have like a list of like 10 favorite bands. And I get like, I'll listen to nothing but that one band for a month. And then you can very much hear it in that album. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Sure. Influences.
Yeah.
And the Cars was this one.
The Cars, yeah. I mean, talk about bands all day. That's the stuff, like, my favorites, the Stones or like Iggy Pop or the Cramps. That's just anything Goner Records releases. It's all so good. I love it.
What about new releases?
New releases? Let me think.
I mean, there's a lot of history to catch up on.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But there's also good stuff, new stuff coming out.
The shits that is happening locally in Murfreesboro, my friends are releasing some great stuff. Jake Kroll, he just released a thing with, what's his name? I don't remember his name, but he just dropped a new single and it's fantastic. There's a band called Casual Sex. They're so good. Black Market Kidney Surgeon, of course. Local 58. That stuff's just fantastic. I'm so happy to have this scene that's by me and I can go see these crazy punk shows whenever I want. It's just great. I love it.
I wear shampoo on my body. Feel so clean, yes, so naughty. Wear shampoo everywhere I go. Under the tea or out at the show. I love it. I love shampoo.
Started this in 2021, and I counted 3 releases in 2021.
Yeah.
And 41 songs in total.
So my idea when I first started this, I thought it's like, man, I'm gonna do this folk punk thing. There's like 2 Drus. There's like country Dru and there's punk Dru, and I wanted to do country. Hank Williams has like always been my favorite artist, but I wanted to get some of that stuff out. And then I got really into like garage punk for a while, and then that's when the Pisser came out. Mm-hmm. And then I got into the more dirtier side of garage punk, and then I put out The Killer. And then that's when the album A Month thing came to me. I was like, you know what? I really like garage punk. I really like this rawness that's coming out. And I just started releasing whatever came to my mind, I put out there.
Yeah.
Like I did a black metal song, one black metal song, and I did a grunge song too. It's just whatever comes to me.
Which comes first for you, the music or the words?
Sometimes I hear a phrase and I'm like, you know what? That's not my phrase. I'm using that. Or like I get a lot of my ideas at work, and I'm at work and I'll think of something, I'll just write it down, and I'll go home after work and I'll start playing guitar. Or I'll just play guitar and then melody comes to me and I put it together. I just put the words together.
Yeah. The first song that you wrote when you were in 6th grade about the tobacco companies?
Yeah, the cigarette companies.
Cigarette companies. What prompted that?
So my old hardcore band was a straight edge hardcore band. We were like PMA hardcore. But it's crazy because I did like kind of a reverse card, and now I'm doing like this dirty garage punk stuff. I think I just kind of changed, and I'm kind of feeling a different energy from music. There's this like sense of sass that comes from garage punk that's I'm not getting from like hardcore. But like I saw a negative approach the other night, and they kind of made me think, because they do that hardcore stuff, but they're from Detroit, which had that sassy sound with like MC5 and the Stooges, but they're hardcore. And I can see them taking that influence and just, I don't know. I still got to think on that though. There's a line between the two, but they're so like hand in hand. It's like there was an old band in Nashville called Skizos, and they did a perfect mix of the two. They I don't know, man. Dale Skizzo, I tried to talk to him. I feel like I'm just kind of a little annoying kid that hits him up, but I never saw them, sadly, but I bought their Top of the Food Chain tape on my 15th birthday. I went to see. So how I found the scene was I went to one of the punk rock pizza parties, and it's at one of the brewery, and I saw Big If True, and I just got hooked on local music. Big If True, I followed them, but they played on my birthday at 10 in the morning, and I went and saw them, and there was whatever tape distributor put out, Skizos was there, and they had Top of the Food Chain. I listened to that, and that shit's so good.
Right now, it seems like the center of punk and the punk scene is in Murfreesboro.
I think a lot of those people in Murfreesboro have a good TikTok following, in which TikTok has kind of changed the music scene, I've noticed. It's weird because like I'll see someone post something from TikTok, and this person lives in like Kansas, and they'll post something about someone in Murfreesboro posted on TikTok, and I'll see that shit, and I just like, wow, I know those people.
Well, what's the difference, do you think, between the scene in Nashville right now and the scene in Murfreesboro?
I think Murfreesboro is a little more poppin', and just try to be a band with no connections to anyone and try to come up in Nashville. It's so hard. People want to book shit they've heard, and I'm hoping there's some sort of change that happens. Nashville, I remember first time I talked to Joey, who's a really big booker there. First time I talked to him, I was like, hey, I'm looking for shows. We're really struggling to find shows. And he's like, you shouldn't be struggling to find shows.
Yeah.
Like, there's people who want you to play. And then he gave me like 3 different dates I could play.
And where was that? What venues?
The Crossroads.
On Lebanon Road.
Yep, that's my place. I love that place. Venues are a struggle right now, though. Everything's 18 plus. I was supposed to play the Cobra a while ago, but they took me off it because I'm not 18. I was upset about that. I was supposed to be with this band called Big Gorgeous, and like Dark Matter is cool. You just gotta know people. There's a business side to it, which I always thought I was good at until I started working with Nashvillians, trying to get around in Nashville.
Was it different back before the Great Unpleasantness, or otherwise known as the pandemic?
Dude, the pandemic took a lot of our venues. My favorite place in Nashville, and when I would play in Nashville, was this place called Bellshire Pizza. And that just took them down, and I'm upset about that. But they're still doing pizza in Smyrna, but they're not doing shows anymore. And I was so upset about that because, man, we were having hardcore shows at a pizza place. I mean, it doesn't get better than that,
No, it doesn't, yeah.
It was, that was crazy. But it's just all financial stuff. Dark Matter was struggling. Everyone was struggling after that. But I feel like house venues kind of are the light in that situation because there's no real like financial that relies on other people. You know what I mean?
I think so. Do you mean that they don't have to make a certain amount of money in order to exist?
Yeah. It's more based off the people who live there.
Sure. Where else in Murfreesboro are you able to?
Let me think. It's mainly the Crossroads, but there's a place called the Laundromat I've talked to. A lot of stuff is money-based. Yeah.
They want to know, are you going to bring people in the door?
Yeah.
Right?
And yeah.
And you can't bring people in the door unless you play shows and get exposed.
But I'm looking for some shows out of town. I want to venture out a little bit.
You're still in school.
Yeah, I am.
This summer you spent making music, it sounds like.
I played, I think, 8-ish shows this summer. I just try to play as much as I can, get my name out there. Sure. But school is I want to get out early somehow because I'll be 18 as a junior, and I don't want to be 18 as a junior. But I'm just thinking, when I get out of school, I work at Jersey Mike's, and I'm going to stay at Jersey Mike's all day, and that's not much better than being at school. So I just got to figure something out. I'd love to make money doing music someday, getting there.
Yeah. Well, 30 years ago, the only way to get your music out was to book time in a studio. and create something, put it out there, and then hop in a van and tour.
Yeah.
It's different now, though.
Oh, it's so different. It's all mobilized. You can get an album released on your phone. Like, you can record it on your phone and get it released all on a computer. You get it out there. You release the thing. You go on Instagram, you promote it. You go on Facebook, promote it. Then you go and get your show, get your flyer posted everywhere. I think it's very similar to how it was back in the day, kind of, but I guess instead of putting your flyer on a post, you post it on Instagram. But that's how it's been nowadays, you know?
And more people will see it.
Yeah, we've had a crazy turnout, like a good 40 kids showing up to shows. It's crazy.
Are you playing all the instruments on your releases?
Yeah, I tend to program the drums. Drums are not my strong suit, but I can play drums. I play everything.
And when you play live,
Yeah.
do you have a band?
Yeah, so I have a bass player, his name's Ray. Then I have a drummer, his name's Damien. And they just play. I want to do something where it's like Dru and the something.
Dru the Drifter and the something?
Dru and the Drifters. But
Where did the drifter part come from?
in complete honesty, I kind of stole it.
Okay. From who?
Hank Williams, when he made gospel music, went under Luke the Drifter. And I saw this video about how to make, it's called How to Make Folk Punk. And it was like, you want to put your name as name the noun. And I was like, Dru the Drifter.
In terms of being in the South and the buckle of the Bible Belt,
Yeah.
is there any difficulty being in the South and in a place like Nashville or Murfreesboro and trying to do punk rock, even now?
Well, yeah, there's of course gonna be conservative rednecks everywhere, but that's what we fight, you know? We gotta have some enemy, you know? But I feel like it kind of fuels the fire, because I think it's crazy that one of the biggest punk scenes is in Murfreesboro, Tennessee right now. I think that may have something to do with it, just where we are, and like kind of builds up some sort of rage with us, and then we do our shows and we go wild. My friend Scout reposted on Facebook where someone was like complaining about Crossroads, and was like, there's a party down the street, and there's all these like boomers in the chat getting so upset about it. But I mean, like, we're just doing what we do.
And when you bring attention to a place like Crossroads, right, that it exists, there's a chance that it could be shut down at some point. Like, has that ever been a fear?
So the only thought that came to my head is that it's going to get gentrified. Someone's going to run it over, and there's going to be a Dollar General on it, which I thought about that. But I'm just rolling till we can't roll no more, you know? Because, I mean, shit happens. That's what happened to Belshire. But there's always going to be other places, and Crossroads it's a great place. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon.
Okay, so the motto of Lucy's Record Shop 30 years ago, and this was 30 years ago, was no racist, sexist, or homophobic shit tolerated. But the reason why we did that is because there was definitely racism and sexism and homophobia in the punk scene in other venues.
Yeah.
And so I'm just wondering, you know, here it is 30 years later, have things changed? Would you have to say that overtly now when you go to a hardcore show? Like, does that stuff still exist?
Well, of course it still exists. Crossroads doesn't take shit. Murfreesboro does not take shit. They will beat your ass if your ass needs to be beat. It's just, it's very open, because I see these kids there that are like kids I would see at school, like pull up to the Crossroads, and I'm like, man, I wonder what your views are, and if people knew about your views. Yeah, definitely we need to have that aware, and like none of that shit. And I feel like a lot of the punk venue stuff, like the record pressings, say that stuff. I know Bucket City Punks, my friend Joey with Bucket City Punks says that a lot. He won't book anyone who has that kind of shit.
So when you talk about the kids that roll up that you know from other places, you know that they're keeping their real...
I just feel like there was this one kid I worked with And you're at work, so there's not much shit you can do. But this was one of the most sexist kids I've ever met. He kept on asking me, like, where's your shows at? Where are your shows? I'm like, bro, you're not coming to my shows. I'm sorry, buddy. Shit like that. And, like, sometimes it's people you don't expect feel that way. I know there's been bands in the past in Nashville that have had that sort of problem. I try to not invite those kind of people there because I'm trying to have like as much as a safe space as possible. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I do. Yeah. So you're booking shows yourself too?
Yeah.
Are you booking mostly local-ish?
Yeah. So
bands?
I book mostly local shows. I'd like to book more touring bands, but they're kind of hard to book. I know there's this band called Splooge I'm kind of trying to book at the Crossroads.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get some more shit together. I like to get a bunch of local bands together, kind of like have a homegrown type thing, you know?
Back then, the majority of bands were white guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then, a few sort of the Riot Girl, Bikini Kill kind of bands in there a little bit. And I'm just wondering, are you seeing now more bands that have women in them or people of color in them that have the LGBTQ plus community
Definitely.
in them? You are?
That shit's really like, all that shit's really common now. It's a lot of those old like hardcore bands, man, their views are questionable. Yeah, well, like you look at DC in like the 80s, that was a boys club. We're definitely a very diverse group now. I'm really happy that we have that sort of safe space now.
Yeah.
Compared to 30 years ago. But that sort of stuff is just it's a lot more common. I'm really happy we have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do your parents think about this?
My mom does not like it.
Yeah.
But my dad, my mom's not, I don't think is a big fan. She's like, why are you yelling? Why do you have to yell? Like, I'm angry, Mom. And then my dad likes some of the stuff. He's just, I don't know, my parents aren't really my kind of music. I get a lot of my stuff from my uncle. My uncle, I was like a classic rock kid in middle school, and he very much influenced that. So we used to go to the flea market and go look at CDs and records and whatnot. I'm a avid CD collector and record collector.
So listening to your releases in chronological order, they seem to be getting angrier.
Yeah.
What do you attribute that to?
I think it's my surroundings. Just, I'm playing with a lot of hardcore bands. I think that would grow on me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It comes to me. I started like wanting to do country, so I did The Drifter, and I had the idea The Drifter was going to be some sort of like, what's it called when like an album tells a story? Concept album.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be something like that. But then I did The Pisser, and I was listening to a lot of like Burger Records type stuff at the time. And like, there's a band called Pookie and the Poodles that really inspired me. And then I did The Killer, and The Killer was a compilation of everything I haven't released. So that's why there's so many songs on it.
Yeah.
I like that there's so many songs on it. There's 21 songs, but it's over in like 26 minutes.
Mm-hmm. What does the future look like for you? I know you want to do music. I mean, obviously, you can tell it's just in you and you love it so much. But what does the perfect future look like for Dru?
I would love to be like a ghostwriter of some sort and write songs for like, I don't know, like Ariana Grande or something. And then I hear that when I'm grocery shopping, I'm like, I wrote this song and no one would believe me. Or like something like a jingle writer. I want to make money doing music. I do not want to step into a fucking Jersey Mike's ever again.
Sure. Yeah.
I worked a 10-hour shift yesterday.
That's a lot of sandwiches.
It is a lot of sandwiches. The only good thing I can say about Jersey Mike's is I have written my best songs there. Like, they come to me while I'm at work. So I just write them down in my notes.
That's actually really fascinating.
Yeah.
And I think if you read the bios of a lot of songwriters,
yeah,
maybe it's the mindlessness of it.
Yeah. I tend to get in my feelings at work. I tend to get a little upset just because I don't want to be there. I'm just making the best of a bad situation, I guess.
Sure, yeah.
But
and you got to get out of high school.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself performing at all?
Yeah.
I mean, you said you want to have music become your living, but does songwriting is a part of that, but also performing?
I found that I locally have gotten my name out for my stage shows.
Yeah.
Because I get a little wild. I'm really inspired by the Cramps and Iggy Pop, so that's just going to happen. Like, I roll on the ground. I use a lot of fake blood and stuff. So I want to play more in the future. I want to get more shows, but it's so hard to get shows nowadays.
Yeah.
In Nashville especially, because I want to have some people who want to come out to Murfreesboro, but I want to have them come to Nashville because I guarantee I can get a good crowd in Nashville if someone gave me a chance. I know I can get a good crowd in Nashville.
Do you ever see yourself hopping in a van with your guitar player with your bass player and your drummer and touring next summer maybe?
I would love to. I'm playing this festival next summer called Hardcore Youth Fest. I think it's only bands under 18 or under 20 or something, and it's great. It's some good shit. The farthest place I played Knoxville once with Saturday Sunliners, and that was really fun. That was really strange though because it was us. We were the only hardcore band, and everyone else was like rappers. I remember I got it in a whim because I was eager to get out of my area. I wanted to play somewhere else.
Sure. But it is more than just booking a show, right? Because you have to find a place to stay for the night and eat and
Definitely.
all that kind of stuff.
That's why I try to make my connections around the world, just talk as many people as I can. And I feel like that's what we have nowadays with social media instead of 30 years ago, because I know a bunch of people all over the world. Like, hey, can I crash at your place for the night? And I could do that and wake up, and then I go to wherever the next day.
Yeah.
What's crazy is there's a pretty good punk scene in Nebraska. It's the weirdest shit. But, like, you learn shit when you're talking to people around the world all the time,
Yeah, how did you find out about the scene in Lincoln?
I met this kid named Colin Cutthroat. He's in a band called Cutthroat Kids. And I remember I met him, and he was talking about, I was like, where are you from? He's in Nebraska. I'm like, how are you? Because he's got, like, a big mohawk. He's, like, a punk. And I was like, how are you this punk from Nebraska? He's like, bro, you're missing out.
Thanks again so much for listening. Dru the Drifter will be playing the Lucy's Record Shop anniversary show on Sunday, September 18th at Dark Matter in Nashville. More information at lucysrecordshop.com/anniversary. You can follow Dru at Dru the Drifter, and that's DRU the Drifter on Instagram, and hear his music on Spotify. Many thanks to Michael Eads for his time and the use of his studio. Links to full versions of the songs used in this episode can be found in the episode notes and at lucysrecordshop.com. This show is part of We Own This Town, a podcast network of original entertainment and documentary content. You can find more info at the official site at weownthistown.net or follow at We Own This Town on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.